Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I thought I'd do another video about a very edgy, controversial subject that a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on in the past, 15 years. Various thoughts, various negative thoughts and various positive thoughts, depending on who you talk to. Most people kind of view it negatively, but that's fine. And that is a pickup artist, community seduction, community, whatever you want to call it. And if you've watched my videos before, I do bring this up from time to time. Now, this is something that comes up because I did watch a documentary that my friend told me to watch called The Pickup Game. It came out like 2019/2020. And it was very illuminating in a certain way. Of course, seeing Ross Jeffries with his cat, spoiler alert, was pretty fucking funny and awesome. But anyways, if anybody knows who that is, that's, it was worth watching just for that moment. Anyways, so it's awesome. So one of the things I've realized is that the criticism over the past like 7-8 years plus has been more about these newer gurus and how pickup, quote unquote, is viewed nowadays. And I think the reason for that is because of this new breed / thought process that a lot of these people have. And that's namely that it's, there's this guy Gunwitch back in the day. And his whole thing, and this is going to be very controversial, is make the hoe say no. And what that means, it could be extrapolated to mean several different things. And it's a very rude, horrible way of putting it. A lot of women, not all, like dominant guys, like somewhat assertive guys. And when the reason why you get drawn into this material as a young man is because you're probably the opposite of that. You're probably passive, shy, afraid. So it's like overcompensating to kind of get to a balanced equilibrium when you're doing this stuff. So what they teach is, what some of these people taught, at least back in the day, but with the earlier gurus like Gunwitch, is that, he didn't really teach much night stuff. So there's that element is taken out, which is to me, it has always been problematic about alcohol and stuff and consent. But it's still about being like, well, she's got to make a decision. She has her own agency. So at least try hard enough to get a response, because a lot of times, it's hard people don't know what they want, men and women. And it's just like being decisive. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's hard to really explain the social psychology about this. But there were people like Owen Durden Cook, whatever you want to call it, who came out and they were going against the mystery method, and some of their gurus or instructors started to go in a very strange direction at times. That was kind of what Gunwitch was saying, but maybe took it a little well beyond that. And that was namely like very, very aggressive at clubs and kind of not exactly, assaulting women, but borderline, I would just say that. Because, and the problem is, and I realize this, is that they threw away the rules, but they didn't have a lot of what the natural things that someone like Eric von Markovic / Mystery and Neil Strauss and Ross Jeffries and David D'Angelo kind of had attacked about what they were teaching. There was still there was still a lot of consent inherently in the structure of their teachings, which I didn't really think about until I watched this documentary, because some of these people, oh God, they were creepy. Some of the newer people that were involved with this just fucking creeped the hell out of me. They were disgusting, just to be honest. like total misogynist, totally horrible people, you know, just sleazebags. Like when you get to the end, of course, it's a piece of it's sort of propagandistic, you know, the film against the whole scene, but it sort of shows some of the good sides too, a little bit. But one of the things I thought about is that the whole mystery model, and that's tracked. There's like 3 steps in each. I mean, it's way too complicated. I think like what RSD, Real Social Dynamics, were trying to do is like kind of break out of these models and just go with the flow, sort of like that's what they talked about, sort of like this new agey kind of thing. But some of it got really weird. If you go to that forum, went to that forum back in the day that they had, and some of the people that were involved in the forum were involved with this sexual assaults and stuff. So I'm not trying to laugh at it, but it's just really fucking crazy. Shit it happened. It got out of hand. And that's why they went to self-help for a while or whatever. I don't know. But I think they're back or whatever. I don't even know. I don't even keep track. I mean, it's something always rubbed me the wrong way about Real Social Dynamics and the people that were involved. Even though I liked Owen Cook's, some of his teachings and some of his ideas, something really rubbed me the wrong way about a lot of those people. Like I said in my previous video, I still like a lot of their stuff. It's just, you know, some of the more philosophical stuff that they taught, I did like. But one of the things that's missing from some of these people that are teaching all this stuff today is something is called fool's mate game. And I'll explain the concept. So you have attraction, and this is, I don't care. I'm just going to talk about this. There's attraction, comfort, and seduction. There's 3 stages. Usually takes about 4 to 7 hours to get to the goal, you know, the LAY goal. So it's really weird to talk about this, but I don't care. And that there used to be this thing back in the scene back in the day called fool's mate game, and basically it's almost like you were, and this is where it really proves me right about how the scene has devolved into a lot of bullshit. There is this like idea, this conception that if you were attractive enough, you're less attractive if you just get some drunk girl. Basically, let's just put it this way: if you get a drunk girl in a bed, you're not doing it right because you're a chode, basically, or you're a AFC. Because anybody can get it. Anybody can grab a girl that's drunk and have sex with her with dubious consent involved. That's the whole idea. Fool's mate game. It's like, fuck fool's mate game. You got to do the whole process, and maybe in a way. Well, I think what Mystery was trying to do. Mystery is a guy, Eric von Markovic. You know, you probably see him on VH1 and all that shit back in the day. But anyway, what he was trying to say is that with this model, this A3 model or whatever it's called of seduction, was that there's this natural process most people follow. It's like 4 to 7 hours, and it's more most people follow with a normal relationship. So you try to break it down and say, you know, what would be the best steps to follow it and all this stuff. Just kind of basic advice in a way. So if you break that and have the fool's mate game, you're denigrating your own attractiveness and your own game because you're not doing it right. And you know, and Tyler, Owen Cook is like, fuck that shit. You know, all those guys, they probably hate that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the teachings did change because this was something that was frowned upon by all the original gurus and guys in the scene. I mean, not all of them, but you know, many of them. And I think it makes sense because it's like, if there's a skill set that has to be learned to do this stuff, this is gonna sound weird. If there's a skill set to make yourself more attractive, you're not using your skill set by just cheating, by having fool's mate, you know, game. And fool's mate game is what the concept is basically what protected, in my opinion, a lot of these original guys from being like teaching guys to assault, you know, basically assault women, because that structure was in place. And once that got loose, I mean, they took it out, you know, this idea. Then you had all these, I forgot all the terms that RSD used to use and all this stuff. It's just like, wilding or something. I don't remember all this stuff. It was like all these terms that were just like being very aggressive at a club usually. And that's why, like, to me, that was never my ideal, is to get a lot of women from clubs, even though I did go out and stuff with some guys. And it was just like, it was never something I really felt comfortable with. The daytime is always better. And now I'm realizing that, with consent, the daytime is probably better. What's the chances a girl will be too drunk or be just too drunk to go home with you in the middle of the day? Probably very slim. Or conversely, like, having a number that'll flake if you get it during the day. So this is some food for thought. And I think the scene has gotten really weird, gone in weird directions. I talk about this in my Barry Kirky and the alt-right video, which was, God, that must have been like 2018 or 2017, did that video. But the scene's gotten weird. It's gotten really strange with some of its permutations over the years, and I've seen it kind of get really weird. And I don't agree with a lot of the new stuff. I mean, I bought all its Rollo Tomasi's books, but I was just like, this is mental masturbation, So, something to think about, though, how I used to think it was just like, some of these new guys, oh, I don't know about them, and it's something, and I didn't really realize what it was about them that made me kind of flinch and kind of feel cringe. I mean, a lot of people feel cringe just at Mystery or any of these guys, but there is something in there that was stopping something worse happening in these processes. And it makes a guy actually more attractive following this process in a certain way, whereas a guy that's just like being pushy and or plowing through, that's the word I was looking for. That was something that they did not teach back in the day. That's something that's not cool. But anyways, that's about all.